Timothée Chalamet. For years, he was the talented art house indie darling and the internet's boyfriend. Thoughtful, stylish, and remarkably careful with his words. But lately, the narrative has shifted. From declaring his desire to be the greatest, to dismissing art forms, and an in-your-face Oscar campaign, this industry darling is experiencing his first real season of public friction. What happened? Today, we're breaking down Timothy's recent foot-and-mouth moments, and this isn't just celebrity gossip. We're using this as a case study on the brutal truth of the digital age, how what you say stays with you forever, and how the very authenticity that makes you famous can become your biggest liability. Let's get into it. What is the line between having a champion's mindset and hubris? There is nothing wrong with ambition. In fact, to get to Timothée Chalamet's level, you do need a near delusional amount of self-belief. Recently, while promoting Marquis Supreme, Chalamet leaned heavily into the mindset of the character he played. His character was single-minded in his pursuit to be the best, and so in most of his press interviews, that was what he conveyed. Last year, when he won the 2025 SAG Awards for Best Actor, he said, "I know we're in a subjective business, but the truth is, I'm really in the pursuit of greatness." So, here's the trap. When you are rising, everyone roots for you. You have this underdog protection. But the moment you declare your big goal, that protection vanishes. People stop cheering for your growth. Telling the world you want to be the greatest doesn't make you sound confident. It makes you sound self-important. The lesson here is you can be confident, but remember to stay humble. Choose your words wisely and understand that whilst technically there is nothing wrong with ambition, somehow people interpret that declaration differently. There will still be people rooting for you, giving you flowers for your ambition, while there are those who think you ought to eat some humble pie. You can't please everyone. And as a public figure, it's not your job to please everyone, but it is your job to understand how the things you say may affect people differently. Now let's talk about what Timothée Chalamet said about opera and ballet. That was the ultimate foot-and-mouth moment because it was born out of a desire to be relatable. While discussing the future of cinema, Timothée tried to make movie-going feel vital by contrasting it with art forms he claimed no one cares about anymore, specifically ballet and opera. The mistake here wasn't his opinion. It was his lack of perspective. He was trying to elevate cinema at the expense of other creative disciplines, and that didn't come across very well. It came across as dismissive, ignorant, and ironic, especially given his family's artistic background. The fallout was swift. Arts organizations roasted him, turning his insult into their marketing goal. They proved that while cinema might have higher viewership numbers, ballet has a ferociously dedicated community. The lesson here is, if your truth requires insulting somebody else's passion, that's not being honest. That simply shows a lack of empathy. Another one of Timothée Chalamet's mistakes was to assume that his charm would have no expiration date, and that the goodwill extended to him would last forever. Unfortunately, goodwill is something that you have to earn every single day. And following his comment on opera and ballet, he made a follow-up joke about losing 14 cents in viewership. So while that might seem very witty, it came across as extremely arrogant, and that he should also be aware of what he was implying with that. So in this hyper-competitive award season where it was every man for himself, that comment cemented a growing sentiment that Chalamet felt like he was too big to fail. Many commentators believe that this arrogance cost him the Academy Award, which ultimately went to Michael B. Jordan. The lesson here is that the internet loves to pull people down once they stayed at the top for too long, and that one cannot rely on yesterday's charm to excuse today's carelessness. Something interesting to note here is that when Timothée Chalamet made his comment on opera and ballet, the Oscar voting period had already closed. So whether or not his arrogance prior to this comment had cost him his Oscar is everyone's question. Chalamet's journey shows that what we say echoes, and that while authenticity is powerful, having a bigger perspective protects you. What do you think of Timothy's recent comments? Did the backlash fit the crime? And are people being too sensitive? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mechanics of pop culture and how it affects founder communication. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.